Hey, it's me, Lucid. So in today's video I'm gonna be ranking all weapons from worst to best in Generation 0. This will include all 30 weapons, which 18 of them is base game weapons and 12 of them are DLC weapons. I will be rating them on how good they are at killing enemies, and or if they add some sort of other utility that will make it easier to kill enemies. Each weapon will be rated on how they perform at their highest crown level, so either 5 crown or 6 crown depending on if it has a 6 crown version. Remember, most of this is my opinion, but also some weapons are just factually better than others. Without further ado, let's see what the worst weapon in Generation 0 is. At the number 30 spot we have the Möller PP. This should not be a huge surprise because it's the first gun you get in the game. With a below average mag size and pitiful damage, this weapon does not stand up to anything above a runner. If you try to kill a tank with this, it's gonna take you quite a while. You're better off picking any other weapon in the game. Up next we have the Kotenok, the first DLC weapon on the list. This weapon is honestly a joke for being a DMR type weapon. If you wanna know why it's so low on the list, I have an in-depth video explaining why it's a garbage weapon. Up next we have the Magnus. The Magnus is really not good at all. Its only good trait is that it can one-shot runners. Other than that, everything is bad. Low mag size, quite a kick in the recoil, and the bullet drop is actually quite big. Next up is the S21. This gun suffers from a lot of the same problems as the Kotenok, but it's a little bit better than the Kotenok. For example, the recoil is way better on the S21. Now we have the N9, one of my favorite weapons in the game, but that does not change the fact that it's not good. It has a decent mag size and almost no recoil, but that's around where the good things end. Now we have the first melee weapon on the list, the Brännboll Bat. It has decent damage, but it has almost no stun chance. The problem with melee weapons is that you have to get close to enemies to hit them, so you are really open to stuff like shockwave and gas attacks, which puts this weapon so low down. Up next we have another melee weapon, the Pitchfork. It's basically the same story with this one as the Bat. The Pitchfork is a bit better though, cause it has way longer range than the Bat. Now we are entering weapons that are not total garbage, and it's actually an almost okay choice to bring with you. First off we got the Moiso hunting rifle. The problem with the Moiso is the fire rate, low end damage and low mag size. It can one-shot runners and take down hunters semi-fast, but not good enough to put it any higher on the list. Now I have the Moiso's older brother, the Älgstudsare. It's better than the Moiso in every way except that it has one less bullet in the mag. If you wanna bring a hunting rifle, then bring this one. Now we have the first shotgun, the Sjökvist. The Sjökvist actually deals quite a lot of damage, but the problem is that you need to get kinda close to enemies to deal damage, and it's also have a really low mag size. So you are reloading more than shooting with this gun. Now we have the Pump, the first experimental on the list. The Pump suffers from the same problems as the Sjökvist, but it has an ability to stun lock bigger machines, and does a bit more damage than the Sjökvist. Now we have the Klauke, the best pistol in the game. It's basically the N9, but sometimes it can EMP machines. The EMP does not happen that often though, so that's why it's not that good of a weapon. Now we have quite a special weapon, the Flamethrower. It does decent damage, but the main problem is that you need to be close to enemies to do damage. It's better to use on smaller machines like runners, but not a good choice for the big ones. Here we have another special weapon coming from the same DLC, the bow. The bow does a lot of damage, but it's also hard to use, and it's not good against armor. If you can aim well with it, then it will help with killing runners and hunters fast. Other than that, it's better to bring a real gun. Up next we have the HP5. This is the worst SMG in the game, but it's a decent weapon. The DPS is enough to kill big machines in a moderate time, but it's not good enough to make it any higher up on the list. Now we have the first explosive weapon, the G79. This grenade launcher is decent at clearing out hordes of runners and hunters. You can also shoot EMPs that comes in quite useful for bigger machines. The downside is that it can be hard to aim and the damage is on the lower side. Other than that, it's a decent weapon to bring us back up. Now we got the first assault rifle on the list, the Atwad. Though this weapon feels more like a SMG because of its high fire rate but low damage. It's a decent weapon for up close encounters who need to spray into a single component. It also has an integral suppressor which is pretty nice. Other than that, its damage is really low, so you won't be melting tanks, wolves and harvesters in record time. Now we got a GOG. The GOG has a trait that it can shoot 2 rockets in a burst, which is quite nice. But other than that, its damage is kinda trash for being an explosive weapon. You can clear out hordes of small enemies really fast, but other than that, it's really not that good for bigger machines. You are able to kill tank-sized enemies in decent size if you bring enough rockets, but it's nothing super special. Alright, now we have another one of my favorite weapons, the Com-10. The Com-10 is, I think, the highest threat weapon in the game, but it also comes with the drawback of a lot of spread, so you need to be pretty close to hit all your shots with it. But it has a really high DPS for being an SMG. Now we have another SMG, the K-Pist. The K-Pist also have a really high fire rate, but it has lower spread than the Com-10. I would say they are basically as good as each other, so they are interchangeable. But personally, I feel like the K-Pist is a little bit better than the Com-10. Now we got the best explosive weapon in the game, the RLG-7. It does really high damage and can destroy machines quite fast. Only drawback is that its ammo is a little bit hard to get your hands on, but other than that it's the go-to if you wanna bring an explosive weapon. Now we got the first 5.56 weapon, and that is the N16. The N16 is an accurate assault rifle with high mag size. Only drawback is that it has quite low damage, which is a global trait of the 5.56 weapons. Next up is the AG5. It's almost the exact same as N16, other than it can't go in burst fire. I enjoy using the AG5 more, so that's why I put it in a better spot, but they are interchangeable. Up next we have the KVM-89. The KVM-89 is basically if you gave the AG5 or N16 a lot bigger mags. It's the worst machine gun in the game, but it's still a really good weapon to bring to any fight. But I would rather bring any other machine gun into a fight. Up next we have the Sledge, the best melee weapon in the game, and that's just because of its electric explosion attack, which one-shots most small enemies in the area, and if they don't die, they will be EMP'd, which will give you time to spray lead into them. The first weapon in the top 5 is going to be the AI-76. The AI-76 does huge DPS to anything standing in its way, and it also has a big mag so you can keep firing for a while. This is a reliable weapon if you don't want to use the top meta weapons. At the number 4 spot we have the AG4. The AG4 is almost the same as the AK but a slight slower fire rate. But it does have the fire bullets, which is, in my opinion, makes it a small bit better than the AK. But it's mostly up to your preference for which one you think is better. At the number 3 spot we have the N60. It's like giving the AG4 a way bigger mag but removing the fire bullets. It does huge DPS, so if you keep firing for it, it feels like forever. This is the best 5-round weapon in the game, hands down. At the second spot we got the popular KVM59. It's the best core-clearing weapon in the game because of the chain lifesteal. It also does huge damage to singular big enemies. Only drawback to this weapon is that it will damage itself if you're too close to an enemy that you are shooting. But you should not be doing that anyways. If you wanna bring an automatic gun to a fight, then this is the gun you wanna bring. And finally, the best weapon in the game, which should be no surprise, the PVG. The PVG is hands down the most overpowered weapon in the game. It has infinite penetration, it deals huge damage. This gun can destroy the Reaper in a couple of minutes. Nothing compares to this beast. Alright, thanks for watching the video. Let me know how you would rate the weapons in the comments if you want to. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you have not. Well, goodbye, see you in the next one.